Hello, everybody, and welcome to Valparaiso University football. Along with head coach Tom Horne, this is Todd Eichow. Today we take a look back at the Crusaders' very exciting victory Saturday in the rain over the Butler Bulldogs. We'll welcome in starting outside linebacker Tom Cunningham, who had a big afternoon on Saturday, and we'll preview this upcoming ball game, this Saturday's contest in Des Moines, Iowa, against the Drake Bulldogs. First off, though, we visit with the head coach, Tom Horne, who is obviously relieved to get that victory over the Butler Bulldogs, the first victory for VU over BU in quite some time, Coach.
It has been quite some time, and Arnold Mickens, their running back, of course, was a big threat to us, and we were worried about stopping him all week, and I don't know if we really did stop him, but we did win the ball game. That's the main thing.
Okay. And as we go to the video highlights, we'll see that Arnold Mickens was the man. He had a big, big afternoon, Coach, but not big enough, apparently.
Well, he gets 8 yards right here in one of his first carries. I think it's 3rd and 2 here in the first series. And you can see a good indication of what he did all day long. He averaged about 5 or 6 yards a carry, and I think it was 5 yards a carry. And I think our defense did a pretty good job of shutting him down, considering he carried the ball 56 times.
On a 2nd and 8 first series of the game, in the driving rain, they try to go up top, and Shane Snyder has his 3rd interception of the year.
Good job. I don't know what Butler was doing there. I mean, they just carried the ball 5 times for about 35 yards and then threw a pass in this kind of weather. So Shane came up with a big play, and here Nick Browder scrambles out of the pocket and finds Joe Fenolio for a 22-yard gain. Does a good job there.
Nick Browder had a big ball game on Saturday, both running and throwing the football before he was knocked out with an injury. We're going to see Nick go up top, a simple post pattern, man coverage, and Doug Holock beats his man and nearly gets into the end zone.
I think Butler was probably lucky that it was raining. We had planned on throwing twice as much as we did Saturday, and I think they had the lowest rated pass defense in the conference, and we wanted to try and exploit that, and the weather hampered us a little bit there.
Able to snake Trevor Bell out of the backfield, and Nick Browder rolls and finds the open bell for the touchdown. The Crusaders on the board early, just like a week ago. Here it is, 6-0.
As the tape rolls, you'll see that Trevor Bell, we put him out of the backfield a lot this week. They never had him covered once the entire game.
And Coach, again, early momentum for you, the ability to get in the end zone on an early drive, certainly a big boost. Unfortunately, the extra point try goes awry.
You know, in these types of games, with the weather, etc., turnovers and field position is so important, and I think we won that battle on Saturday. And you want to get up on a team like Butler, who their mainstay is running the football, as you see here. I know Mickens doing.
Mickens again, 56 carries on Saturday. Incredible, 295 yards. That was 16 on that play before Shane Snyder able to knock him out of bounds. Maybe the biggest key to the game, Butler had 2 early turnovers. We saw the interception and now the fumble. John Palyak knocks it loose, and Andre Murphy gets on it. Coach, you didn't have a turnover the whole day.
Great job by our offensive people holding on to the football, and good job by our defense getting 2 here, and we caused 3 or 4 other fumbles, and Butler just happened to get those 2. So we did a good job stripping the ball and swarming to the football.
Look at the great scrambling ability of Nick Browder. On 1st and 15 after a penalty, he picks up 15. Butler was able to hold. They get the ball back, and here comes Mickens, except there's Tom Cunningham in the backfield.
Tommy had a great day on Saturday, and we needed him to, and of course, they've got some big, slow offensive linemen, and with Tommy's quickness and strength, he gets past those people and makes them play. It did a great job for us.
As we look through the rain here, the rain coming down all day long, the draw, and just a great play. How difficult is it to bring down Arnold Mickens in the open field? And Tom Cunningham did it on successive plays.
Well, you're going to have to ask Tom. I didn't get a chance to tackle him, Sarah. I just have to ask Tom how difficult that is.
Shutting down the draw there on what was one of the final plays of the first quarter. We moved to second quarter highlights, and here comes Mickens, and we see the quickness here, Coach, the ability to get to the corner, and nearly goes all the way. Andre Murphy, enough of him to knock him out of bounds, and Mickens with 295 yards, and that was his biggest gain of the day.
And he had 202 in the first half. He only had 93 in the second half. We held him in check the second half.
Here he goes over the top for the touchdown. Kelly will add the point after, and now it's 7-6. So the early lead has evaporated. And Coach, maybe we can talk a little bit about Mickens right now. When you carry the ball 56 times, did he wear down, or did he wear down the defense?
I think we wore him down. 56 times, that's an awful. That's 2, sometimes 3 ball games for a normal running back. That's an awful lot of carries, an awful lot of shots you're taking. And he's got to be slowing down here towards the end of the season as the season progresses in the future opponents.
Teams continue to kick to Ozzie Young. Sooner or later, somebody will learn. And he breaks it out near midfield, as per usual.
Yeah, if he doesn't get it back to midfield, then Ozzie's irritated himself.
Well, the defense for Butler was able to hold, and we see a nice play by Jeff Seymour.
Yeah, we did a good job running to the football. We created some bounces. We wanted to try and bounce Mickens outside and force him to run sideline to sideline rather than up the field on us. And sometimes we got that done, sometimes we didn't.
Next play, we're going to see a sack by John Paliak. This is going to lead to great field position for VU as they ended up snapping the ball over the punter's head, and he threw the ball out of bounds, and suddenly the Crusaders are knocking on the door late in the first half. This is a sack, a real key play there.
Yeah, without a doubt, it puts them in not only punting position, but puts them in a situation where they snapped over his head. He threw it out of bounds, and we had great field position. Here we go in with a shovel pass to Ozzie Young, take us from the 12 down to the 2-yard line. The shovel pass, we ran it 3 times Saturday. 2 of them set up scores for us, so it was a key play for us.
2 plays later, Nick Browder into the end zone on a quarterback sneak. Again, it took a while, but the signal is touchdown. You go for 2, and Nick really hurting at this point. You can see rolling out, and again, the knee really bothering him there as he misses an open Trevor Bell.
Right. Yeah, we had real good execution of the game plan on the goal line offense on Saturday. It was there, we just didn't happen to hit the pass.
Mickens with about carry number 30 here in the first half. Great job, Saul Shaheed, first one there, and Butler just ran the clock out, never really attempted to try to get on the board. Crusaders lead at 12-7 in the locker room, and here's Arnold Mickens, 202 yards at the break, and his team has just 7 points. Butler probably shaking their heads a little bit at halftime.
Oh, they had to be. Our defense, of course, as you saw, bent a little bit, but didn't really break. And they got 1 touchdown on us, 1 touchdown drive the whole day, and then an touchdown at the end. So the defense fought the entire game, and we came out on top, and we have to give them credit. Was the strategy to allow him, and of course you never want to give up 4 or 5 yards of play, but just to prevent the big play from Mickens breaking one, because his longest run was 30 yards, and he's had obviously a lot of 50, 60-yard runs this year. Todd, in our conference, I think that's the real key. Every weekend you can flip a coin on who's going to win the ball game in our league, and big plays and turnovers are going to be the thing that's going to decide a lot of these ball games. Okay. As we go to a break, we'll come back, show you those second half highlights as the Crusaders pull out the victory. We'll show you those highlights when we return on Valparaiso University football.
Valparaiso University football is underwritten by the following. First National Bank of Valparaiso, with 13 offices throughout Porter County, working hard to meet the needs of the community. First National Bank of Valparaiso offers simple fixed-rate car loans with fast, personal, pre-approved service. First National Bank of Valparaiso, strengthening their commitment to Porter County. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender. Finley Construction, serving the building needs of commercial and residential properties throughout Northwest Indiana. Finley specializes in designing and building your new construction, remodeling, addition, and restoration projects. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Finley Construction, 462-2726.
Mike's Sporting Goods, your team sports professional. Mike's has NFL and college team crews and jackets from Starter, Russell, and others. A great selection and Mike's great value. For your team sport needs, Mike's has it. Shoes from Nike, Reebok, Converse, plus uniforms, trophies, custom screen printing, school jackets, equipment, and more. Mike's Sporting Goods, Maryville, Crown Point, Hobart, and Michigan City.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
As we start looking at the second half, Tom, let's talk about the condition of Nick Browder there in the locker room. You went in with a 5-point lead, and the condition of your quarterback was in doubt. What did you know at half?
Well, at halftime, Dr. Jim Malater did a great job diagnosing Nick's condition. He had a little flap of cartilage sticking off and which was giving Nick some pain and was popping in and out. And he put a knee brace on him, tried to hold the kneecap in a stabilized spot, and hoping that it would stay in, and it didn't. Nick played a couple series with it that way, led us to a touchdown during that time, and Nick had arthroscopic surgery yesterday at noon, and Dr. Malater, who's an outstanding knee surgeon, of course, diagnosed it properly. When he opened him up, that's what he found, and shaved it off, and Nick will be on crutches for a couple days. He'll be running by Wednesday, and may miss the game this weekend, but we'll be back definitely for the Evansville game.
Okay. And you needed the big drive to start the third quarter, and you got it. Again, Nick Browder only able to go a little bit in this second half, but here we go, Coach. On second and long, he does what he does best, and that's scramble and the ability to pick up 22 yards and give you great field position.
And Nick is getting very intelligent about the game here, and when to go, when not to go, and obviously there for the 22-yard gain, he made a right decision.
See, not at 100%, but still the ability to roll out and hit an open Doug Holak, who makes a nice sliding catch.
Another outstanding catch by Doug. Big play there was 2nd and 8, got a first down, kept the drive alive.
And there's Ozzie breaking a tackle at the line of scrimmage.
Again, the shovel pass, which set up another score. Of course, Ozzie just ran out of room over there on the sideline, otherwise he would have scored.
Moved it down to the 6-yard line, 1st and goal. And we're going to see really a great effort by Daryl Jackson. Could have been stopped back at the 5. A little partial roll to the left. And then under pressure, here's Daryl. Now, I'll let you take the hit at the 5, spin away, and he fights down to about the 2.
Drags 3 guys on the 2-yard line. Outstanding effort by Daryl. Great job by Nick there as like the 3rd receiver in that situation.
And on 3rd and goal, Nick takes it over the top from a yard out, and Crusaders lead it 18-7. First drive of the 3rd quarter, always very important. And unlike a week ago, you get that big touchdown, which you really needed, and then you get the 2 points as well.
Again, to Trevor Bell, who we missed last time for a 2-point, and we got him this time. A little bit different play action pass instead of a sprint out, but same type of philosophy, getting the fullback out of the backfield open in the corner of the end zone.
You had talked about field position, and really your kickoff man, Billy Duke, and your punter, Dan Kepke, did a great job all day. That was one of the big keys. Conditions like this, it's going to be very tough to drive 80 yards, and we saw Butler unable to do so. Although they moved the ball, they never did have good field position in this game.
No, I mean, look at this kick. Although the wind is a little bit out of the west, it died down in the second half, and this kick lands 8 yards deep in the end zone. And these kind of conditions, that's outstanding to make them start in the 20.
Here they come on a 2nd and 7. A fine play by Tom Cunningham, who made 3 stops in the backfield on Saturday. And there's one of them. Again, you talked about his quickness, and that was a key there. Stopping Mickens before he could ever get going.
Absolutely. That was kind of the idea on Saturday. We did that sometimes, not all the time. But our defense, the main thing part of our defense is they fought their butts off the entire game.
Next series on a 3rd and 2, great play by Eric Miller. That stopped Mickens shy. Now we move to the next series. And the swarming defense. You see Jeff Seymour in on the stop, got help from Josh Birding. Fine play. Tom Cunningham was there as well on that play. And the Crusaders really never quit defensively against Arnold Mickens. Here's the next series now. And we see some of his great ability going up the middle.
And when he can head north and south on you and get a full head of steam going, he's a tough man to bring down.
Right at the end of the 3rd quarter, Josh Birding, Shane Snyder in on that stop. And again, the Crusaders never gave Mickens the breakaway run. He did it at a 130-yard run we saw in the first half. But besides that, everything else was less than 20 yards. And in 56 carries, you figure he's going to break one sooner or later, but he never did.
I think that's what Butler was hoping. The offensive staff was hoping that he was going to break one, and this never happened.
Key play 3rd and 3, and John Telyak is in on that stop, about 1.5 yards shy of the first down. Arnold Mickens wanted to go for the first, but they ended up punting the football. Again, Butler's defense held again, and guess who got the football in the next series?
Could it be number 32, Arnold Mickens?
He fights through a tackle. Shane Snyder gave him a good shot at the 40, but Mickens kept going and got all the way out to the 45-yard line. But another good defensive play by the Crusaders. Eric Miller, Tom Cunningham slowed down Mickens on a 2nd and 7. We move ahead, 1st and 10 situation here, and here comes Mickens around the right side. Again, even in the wet conditions, showed good foot speed, got to the corner very well, picked up 10 yards.
This kind of turf is conducive for a big back type of an offense, and it was certainly conducive for Arnold Mickens on Saturday.
They end up turning it over on downs. Crusaders unable to move it. Another big kick by Dan Kepke. This one covers about 45 yards into the wind.
Into the wind and into the rain, and Danny averaged 43 yards a punt Saturday in this kind of conditions, which is outstanding.
Here they come on 4th and 10, a little bit of controversy here. It looks like an intercept for Scott Lasky. So they fight for it, and Scott comes away with the football, as you can see right there. One official seems to signal it's an interception. Another official comes in and says dual possession, giving the ball to the offense.
And the receiver's walking off the field like he knows it was picked off, and then the officials gave them the ball anyway.
There's the signal, and Butler would actually move down here very late in the ball game and get on the board again. This is stall on maybe the most fortunate play of the game for Butler, because this ball very well could have been picked off. You see it's tipped almost twice, and Shane Snyder actually slipped or might have had an interception. Their fullback Ackman comes up with the football down at about the 4-yard line. Defense did a good job, though. You made them run 2 more plays, kill some more time before Mickens finally got in on 3rd and goal from the 1. But that extra time proved to be crucial.
And forced them to burn their last time out as well.
They burned a timeout. They had to run some time off the clock. They'll add the extra point to make it 20-14. And with just 1:38 to go, Coach, no question what they were going to do down by 6.
Well, I think it was time to get the hands team on the field. Is that what you're suggesting, Todd?
And you did so. And they're going to load up on the far side. And you adjusted well, ready for the onside kick, very well prepared for it. And we're going to see a nice play by Joe Fenolio.
Very good kick by the kicker. I mean, that's as perfect as you can have it. It pops up in the air at the 10-yard line. If our guy doesn't get a good grasp on it, they can knock it loose and recover it. So Joe Fenolio did an outstanding job there. That's a big, big play by Joe.
Crusaders ran just 2 more plays, and that was it. Valparaiso 20, Butler 14. Crusaders survived 295 yards by Mickens, and an injury for the quarterback, your quarterback, Nick Browder. So, Coach, survival, but you did a fine job. You mentioned the bent but don't break, and the fact you didn't turn the ball over. Maybe the 2 keys to the game.
Right, and the punting of Dan Kepke and the kickoffs by Billy Duke. The field position game. Those kind of days, that's what you have. No turnovers and field position, you can win the ball game. We scored, got ahead of them, which is our pre-game goal, was to get ahead of them, force them to throw, and try and take the ball away from Mickens. And being down 20-7, even with 7 or 8 minutes to go in the game, they're still running the football, which meant that they were burning time off the clock. I think they're just kind of hoping, had no confidence in their quarterback or their passing game, and hoping that maybe Mickens would pop one.
You see their 2 turnovers. Both stopped their drives, and one led to a Valpo touchdown, and there's the difference in the ball game. Nick Browder, 12 of 17. Very solid performance before he went out. You see the big numbers for Butler on the ground, and that was Mickens running a lot between the 30s. And you only had 2 penalties. That's a bright spot.
Another key stat is a lack of penalties there. 2 of them for 10 yards.
So the Crusaders moved to 4-1 on the year, and we check other scores from around the conference, and we'll see, again, the Pioneer Football League performing well. There's the intra-conference game, which took place in Evansville, with Drake posting a 31-21 victory. Drake has a loss in conference. Valparaiso lost in conference. San Diego with a loss in conference. See San Diego winning out west. Another wild shootout there. They've had plenty of high-scoring games this year.
They're actually out east. They played in
New York.
I think it's Staten Island or Long Island. Wagner's one of those islands they're on out there. But so San Diego had to fly across country and play them and beat them at their place. So that's a good win for them.
Another win for Dayton. They're 4-1. Drake 4-1. Valparaiso 4-1. San Diego 4-2. Butler 4-2. As you see the overall standings. And on the left side there, the conference standings, Dayton, the only unbeaten team left.
Yeah, and if we do a good job the next couple of weeks, we may be playing Dayton at our place for the top spot. And that's what our goal is, and that's what our kids are shooting for.
Okay, this actually becomes a big, big weekend, and we'll talk more about that. But first, we're going to visit with standout outside linebacker Tom Cunningham, who had a big ball game on Saturday. And Tom, I'm sure you were psyched up for a couple of reasons. Number one, playing a big rival in Butler. Number two, trying to stop a guy like Arnold Mickens. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we knew going into the game that he was going to get his yardage. I mean, he was averaging 220 yards a game. So, I mean, we weren't naive enough to think that we were going to hold him to, you know, less than 100 yards. But the bottom line is they only scored 14 points, and they had 300 yards rushing the ball. So we won the ball game, so they can say all they want.
And Coach, you look at Tom Cunningham's performance on Saturday, and we talked about the key of getting into the backfield. Maybe you talk about his role.
Well, Tommy is coming off the weak side. Most of the time he's either playing inside in a flex type of a position, or he's outside and coming off the edge there. And when Mickens had to go outside away from Tommy and then maybe stop and try and cut back, then he's closing it down and making the play from the backside. So Tom had a big role, and when they came his way, Tom made the play.
Okay. And Tom, let's talk about your role this year defensively. Bounced around a little bit. Bob Canny changing defensive philosophies a little bit more. You look undersized out on the field at only about 185 or 190 pounds in the middle of things. Let's talk about your role and how can you become such an effective player? What are some of your strengths which have made you an effective player this year?
The big thing for me is the scheme. I mean, our scheme this year is so much better than it has been the last 2 years. And the fact that we're allowed to be aggressive. We're allowed to go upfield and make things happen instead of sitting there and reading and reacting. Because if we were playing the old scheme, there's no way I could play, because you have to weigh, 240 pounds to be able to control the gap, and I can't do that, obviously. So the scheme helps me out more than anything.
And then your quickness to get in the backfield. We've seen you so many times tackles for losses. Going into the ball game, did Bob Canny talk a lot about trying to get into the backfield and stopping Mickens before he can get going? You were in the backfield 3-4 times, and that seemed to be a big key.
Basically, our philosophy was to make him go east-west, and if he doesn't get his shoulders, probably off the line of scrimmage, then we have a chance to get him for a loss, because he's as strong as he is and as fast as he is, he's not really shifty or elusive.
Okay, well, let's take a look at, we're going to take a look now at one of the key plays in the first half, slow down their drive, and I think very key. We mentioned Tom Cunningham, the ability to get in the backfield, and Tom, let's talk about this play.
Yeah, he's on top there on the left-hand part.
Coming from the weak side.
From the weak side, he's flexed. They dive, try and block him. He's too quick for the offensive lineman and breaks through and gets a hold of Mickens in the backfield there for a 3-yard loss.
Quickness to get around the block. Tom, you mentioned to be a bit undersized. Yeah. You're going to not go through the blocks, but maybe go around them a little bit with your quickness, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to do. I can't go toe-to-toe with too many 300-pound tackles. So but I can beat most of them with my quickness.
And our defensive scheme here, with not just Tommy, but all of our other guys on defense are not as big as Butler's offensive linemen, or a lot of people would play. So this quickness, attacking style of defense much suits our personnel.
Right, you mentioned that, and obviously a situation where folks going into the ball game, we're going to see another play. This is going to be a draw play, but mentioning their offensive line, you look at the defensive line compared to the offensive line, they've got a 60-pound advantage or so.
Kind of apologize to the viewers with the rain.
It's a little wet out there.
The rain on the camera lens here.
They run a draw on third and reel long, and you see a great play by Tom Cunningham. You took him on a little high and actually forced the ball loose. That shows your strength.
A fumble right there, and sometimes the ball's laying on the field for 5 seconds, and
well, it looked like it's there in slow motion. Yeah.
There's Tom right there.
He's a little jacked.
Fired up. That's why you got to play the game.
And again, we see in the backfield, Tom Cunningham's done a great job getting into the backfield this year. 47 tackles already this year, nearly 10 a ball game. So
Tommy's an integral part of this style of defense for us. He fits the position he plays perfectly.
Okay, and a big ball game coming up on Saturday. Let's focus in now on the Drake Bulldogs, Coach. An opportunity to post back-to-back Bulldog victories. Tell us about Drake, another solid football team.
That's certainly what we want to do. Drake is very good. Drake is a preseason conference pick by the coaches to win the league. They're definitely not a slouch team by any means. They beat San Diego, who we lost to, and they lost to Butler, who we beat. So it's another coin toss game, and it'll be our execution versus their execution, and lack of big plays and turnovers that's going to win the ball game.
Okay, strengths of their team. How do they compare with Butler? What are some of their strengths?
Well, they good quarterback. Very good quarterback. They run a double tight end, double wide out offense most of the time. So that gives you a different look that you have to prepare for that you haven't been seeing for quite a while. And they like to throw tight ends a lot. In the shorter control passing game, like to throw the wide outs in the more big play type situations.
All right, quarterback situation for the VU Crusaders going into the ball game. We're early in the week, but Coach, I'm sure you have a pretty good feel as to what will take place at quarterback, or what's going to take place this week in practice to decide on the quarterback situation.
We've got Mike Orlando, a junior, and Paul Van Dam, a freshman, who will battle it out this week for the position. Mike's played for us before. Has been here a while. Paul Van Dam is new. Most of our viewers don't know who he is. Paul was a top-rated passer in Michigan camp last 2 summers. The last 2 weeks in practice, he's been throwing the best of all of our quarterbacks passing-wise, even better than Nick in practice this past week. So we have total confidence in him to be able to throw the football. He's a very good passer. Has not been in this type of situation before. So we'll have a decision to make this week. Okay. And other games around the Pioneer Football League, you see that Dayton travels to Butler, and that figures to be a tough test for the Flyers. Never easy to win at the Butler Bowl. Is Nick going to get the ball 60 times this week? That's a big question. Yeah, 286, 293, and 295 last 3 weeks for Arnold Mickens, and now he goes up against a very good defense in Dayton, Evansville at San Diego. Both those games figure to be very competitive. In fact, you look at all 3 games, and they figure to be competitive. Absolutely. I think San Diego's going to win that ball game out there. San Diego's a very good ball club. I know the Dayton coach voted them to finish first in the conference. So they're a very good ball club. They beat us and in a pretty tight ball game, too. So we got a lot of respect for San Diego. We thank Tom Cunningham for joining us. We thank the head coach, Tom Horne. We thank you for tuning in. We'll see you same time next week right here on Valparaiso University Football.
Valparaiso University Football is underwritten by the following. Specializing in sports medicine, the Valparaiso Orthopedic Clinic continues their strong support of local athletes. Each Saturday morning, local athletes are invited to attend a sports injury assessment clinic from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Valparaiso Orthopedic Clinic, 2501 Cumberland Drive in Valparaiso. Hollywood Star Limo for business or pleasure, weddings, airport, proms, riverboat trips. You can make any event special when you travel like the stars. Hollywood Star Limo, 1-800-230-7393.